I was doing squats at 4 a.m. to stay awake because a kid at school had told me, "You grow taller if you never sleep." I was already on night 3. I marked my height on the doorframe to measure my growth, but my heart sank when the new line came out dead, even with night 1. So I whispered, "I won't accept being short." I dragged myself to the window for air, and my whole body went cold when I saw a boy in my school's hoodie under the streetlight, staring up at me. I screamed at him, "Wait, you look taller than me. Tell me what's your secret." But he started walking, and by the time I ran out my door, he was already at the end of the street. So I sprinted until my chest was burning and the streetlights smeared together. But the gap between us just kept getting bigger. Sweat ran into my eyes, so I blinked. But when I opened them back up, the boy was standing on the curb in front of me. My hands started shaking. My eyelids slammed shut on their own again, and when they opened, his hood was an inch away from my face. I heard him say, "Don't blink, you're almost there." I grabbed his hood and yanked him around, and my jaw dropped because his face was gray and he had the same black circles under his eyes as me. That's when I looked down at his shoes, and they were floating an inch above the road. "What night are you on?" he asked, and my throat locked up so tight I barely got out. "3. I'm on 400, he said, and his hand clamped around my wrist until my fingers went numb. I ripped my arm loose and ran back towards my house, and I didn't stop until I slammed my front door behind me. I dove into my bed, dragged the blanket over my head, and squeezed my eyes shut. I'm going to sleep. I'd rather be short. In the morning, I checked the doorframe. A fresh pencil mark sat a full head above mine, with night 400 under it in handwriting that wasn't mine. I was doing squats at 4 a.m. I swung my mop and smacked the homeless man in the head. "Get away from this bench." This was my first job ever, and my manager Gary was watching through the store window with his arms crossed, because his one rule was, nobody sits on that bench. But the homeless guy didn't run, and my jaw dropped when he sat right back down. Then he checked a watch, way too expensive for a guy who sleeps on benches. I grit my teeth because he was destroying my number of homeless people deterred. I jabbed the mop in his face, but he leaned out of the way without looking up. So I grabbed his arm and pulled with everything I had, but he still didn't move an inch, like he was bolted to the bench. Gary banged on the glass, mouthing, "Hit him again," and I needed this job. So even though my hands were shaking, I choked up on the mop like a baseball bat and wound up the biggest swing of my life. I swung hard, but that's when the homeless guy caught the mop mid-swing with one hand, like he was Superman. He looked me in the eye, and my whole body went cold as he stood up. He was way taller than he looked, and he walked me backwards towards our store while I stammered apologies. Gary sprinted out screaming and stopped dead, because the homeless man said his full name. "Gary Huckle, your employee just smacked the owner of this store in the head." My soul left my body. "But you look genuinely homeless. It's not my fault." He ripped the mop out of my hands and smacked both Gary and me in the head. "You're both fired." I swung. A kid pointed at my crossed eyes and screamed, "If anything hits you right now, they'll stick like that forever." I laughed and shook my head because I was determined to keep my reputation as the funniest class clown in school history. So I responded with, "Nah," and I smacked myself upside the head to prove him wrong. Except when I tried to uncross them, it didn't work. Wait a second. I was about to run to the bathroom when Miss Lally walked in, and my heart started pounding with adrenaline because last time I saw her, she told me if I made another joke, she'd expel me. She set her bag down slowly. "We are not doing this today. Fix your face, now." The entire class were biting their nails to see what would happen next, and I felt my throat close with anxiety. "I can't. My eyes won't uncross." I started crying uncontrollably because the one time I wasn't joking, it looked like I was trying my best material. Then she held up her phone. "Uncross them now, or I call the principal and you're gone." The same kid from